What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Taking Command with Josh Taylor here on the YouTube channel. Following what was such an action-packed, drama-filled, my heart was racing the whole time. If you were there, you felt the energy. I'm going to talk about everything, but a week one victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 28-22, and that's why I called this one 1-0, getting that first W, starting off strong. Got a lot of great takeaways. Like I said, I'm going to talk about the atmosphere that was at FedEx Field. Such a great feeling being back there, all the UK guys there and stuff like that. But then also a lot of good nuggets and stats that I saw from this game as I continue to rewatch the game and kind of break some stuff down from the week one matchup. So as always, guys, support for Taking Command with Josh Taylor is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. All you have to do is go over to manscaped.com and save 20% on your entire order using my promo code COMMAND20. So if you use their products already, you can save 20% off of everything that you get. And if you don't, you probably look like a Sasquatch and need to get some stuff anyways. So go over to manscaped.com and use my promo code COMMAND20 to get 20% off on all of your products. But we've got to talk about this win. This was one of my favorite games to be at in person. It seems like I saw all of my people this Sunday, whether it's from Twitter, people that knew me from YouTube channel, or people I've met at games. And then just all the UK guys at the stadium for the first time in a very long time, finally meeting all those guys. It just had the build up to what was such a great time at FedEx Field. And if you didn't go, you completely missed out on a big time. But as JBWC said here, what's good, my brother, besides Victory Monday? It feels good to get a Victory Monday. And it feels like it's been a while since we started the season off with a W. I remember that Chargers game last year. Such a heartbreak. There's so much anticipation leading up to it. And then, of course, Fitzpatrick goes down early and just completely changed the atmosphere. It was packed. But I feel like this game, even being a rain game, there was a lot of people there. This is the most people I've seen in a long time. Whether it's with the rebranding, with the hype with Carson Wentz, the new look offense, just so much anticipation. I know ticket sales have been like super high lately, the highest they've been in a while for a lot of people. So I was expecting a lot of people, didn't know how much the rain was really going to affect stuff, but it didn't seem like really to affect much of the attendance. That place was jumping from start to finish, especially with as close as it was. Like I said, I'm going to break down a couple things. If you follow me on Twitter at Josh Taylor FB, you've seen that I've been dropping a lot of nuggets and videos. Got a sick video of the Jahan Dotson touchdown. Everyone knows that's my guy. You see the Penn State flag. Y'all know I cover Penn State. Got this gym here. Signed my Penn State helmet at training camp. That's my guy, and I'm going to talk about Jahan Dotson, the guy that no one knew about going into the draft. But I'm going to try to do these live shows on Monday nights, by the way. Every Monday, I had a lot of people reach out to me about going live on YouTube and stuff like that, so y'all can come in, drop your comments throughout the show. This is the first one, so if you're coming in for the first time, like I said, drop some comments as I talk about this on your thoughts, concerns, what you liked, what you didn't like. And we'll talk about this win. I'm sure there'll be some hard losses along the way. This will be a great venting spot for you. But on this episode, we're talking about great things. And you see right here, QB1, Carson Wentz's first game as a Commander. And it seems like everyone's been saying the same thing. We got the full Carson Wentz effect, and it only took one game. We knew it was going to come eventually, but we didn't think it was going to be this soon. But Carson Wentz, QB1, went 27 for 41, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. Of course, I'm going to talk about the 2 interceptions. But did you know Carson Wentz was the first Washington quarterback to throw 4+ touchdowns in the first game ever with the team? Ever. We have never had a quarterback come in here in his first game ever throw for 4 touchdowns. So literally made history in his first game. But there's more. He's the first Washington quarterback to throw for 300+ yards and 4 touchdowns since Kirk Cousins in 2015. I think that was against the Eagles. And after Wentz's second interceptions, which we talked about how we'll get good Carson Wentz, we'll get bad Carson Wentz. But after the bad Carson Wentz, this is what we got. 8 for 11, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So when adversity hit, when he's making these mistakes, he had, that he dug deep. He said, look, I'm going to put that behind me. We've got to come back now. We are currently behind after pretty much demanding the entire game. And he found a way to score. He found Tam McLaurin. He found Jahan Dotson and let his playmakers make big plays. And I feel like in the past, when we've gone down or things just seem like they're going south for our offense, regardless who's at quarterback, it felt like that was it. We're like, we're done. We're lost. Like, we can't score points that fast. We're not that electric on offense. But this year, it's completely different. And he said it after the game in the locker room when he got the game ball. He was like, guys, those interceptions were on me. But, I had some guys around me that made some big plays, and we came out on top. And I feel like that really goes to say, bad teams find a way to lose, but good teams find ways to win. And like I said, in the past, we've been bad teams finding bad ways to win with interceptions, fumbles, but not being able to score, not being able to counter that and really come back. So I really enjoyed what I saw from Wentz on that second interception, on that screen play. I want to say, if you watch the replay, watch it in slow motion, doesn't matter. Trayvon Walker, and I've said this many times, Trayvon Walker was not drafted because he had 10 sacks and all these fumbles and stuff at Georgia. Matter of fact, like you could say Jordan Davis and Carter and a lot of these other guys at Georgia had more production than he did at Georgia. They drafted him simply because of how he tested and how athletic he is and just the upside of Trayvon Walker. And we saw that in this first regular season game. That is a routine screen play. And if you're watching it, when he comes off the line, all of his momentum is going to the right. And as Carson Wentz lines up to throw, like start his mechanics, he instantly, in a change of direction like that, goes to the left and picks that thing off. That is why all these cone drills and 40 times and stuff like that at the combine do matter. You want it to translate to playing speed. But Walker showed you in the first game that he is an absolute playmaker on the line just because of his athleticism. So I don't put that 100% on Carson Wentz. I feel like it was thrown a little bit too far to the outside. That's just, they're going to, go through those wrinkles. There's so much that he did in the game, so many schemes, so many looks. That it's going to get wrinkled out, but still seeing how it looked like Walker was getting blocked, but he wasn't at all, and being able to cut inside and pick that off, it just talks more about Walker, in my opinion, than it did as bad Carson. First one, leading Dotson, absolutely his fault. Was looking at Dotson literally as soon as he hiked the ball and did not take his eyes off of him. And I just remember in slow motion watching it happen. Dotson didn't even cut yet on his throw, and the corner was already looking back and just read it and cut it off. So that was bad Carson. But then the good Carson, that pretty much helped us win the game. Jahan Dotson, 3 catches on 5 targets, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of the prettiest catches I've seen in a long time, behind, I think it was Tyson Campbell, to win the game, just falling down, and how quick it was. If you see the video I posted, how fast, someone said it literally looks like a glitch of how fast his hands just go out for it, get the ball and snatch it and secure it. There's some other nuggets I'll be dropping on Twitter, but that was actually the 5th highest, most probable incompleted pass that was completed on the NFL week. Carson Wentz had 3 of the top 15 most improbable completions on the weekend, which speaks a lot, not only just for our wide receivers, but how the touch of his passes, how he was leading the wide receivers and just fitting it in these tight spots. So good Carson. I loved what I saw. I love what I saw from Jahan Dotson as well. It seems like he gets open almost every single play, but there's so many weapons. This is going to be such a well-balanced offense. I loved what I've seen. Haven't seen an offense like this in Washington in a long time, probably since RG3 when he had all those weapons in like 2012, 2013. But nonetheless, Jahan Dotson also made history in his first game, not just catching these touchdowns for us. He's the first rookie wide receiver in the NFL to catch a game-winning touchdown in the final 2 minutes of their NFL debut since Ernest Wilford in 2004. And they are the only 2 rookie wide receivers to ever do it since 1970. So, and you wonder why he is now favorites for Offensive Rookie of the Year. People said, who the heck is this guy? Why are we trading back? Why are we not getting Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, all these other guys in the draft? I get it, but it seems like it's paying off. And if you watch Jahan Dotson's tapes in college, you completely understand why we love this guy. And then you hear him talk off the field. It's exactly what we wanted here in Washington. Curtis Samuel, guy who's been roasted by a lot of the fan base because we signed him, paid him a good bit of money. Last year, banged up. We just called him like side field Samuel. Couldn't get on the field. I've talked to him a couple times, like at training camp and OTAs and offseason. And he just said he felt good. He was just ready. He knew he was just ready to unleash this Curtis Samuel that we've been dying to see. And we got a really good sample of Curtis Samuel on Sunday, whether it was breaking tackles. I'll never forget that catch. And he immediately cut back, and the DB just fell face first right into the turf. I was like, man, feed me this every week of the season with Curtis Samuel. I get it. Some people wanted more Terry targets, and I'll talk about that. But 8 catches on 11 targets for Curtis Samuel, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 4 rushes for 17 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. His first receiving touchdown since November 22nd, 2020. I said it on Twitter too. I said, bank it over 3 carries for Curtis Samuel. I knew he was going to be using the backfield. It's what he did at Carolina. Ron Rivera knows that. And also with Brian Robinson now, Antonio Gibson obviously was starting running back, but they wanted to get him involved as well. There's so much you can do with this offense, and there's still a giant chunk to come with Cole Turner, Brian Robinson, and just how much we can actually use these guys. So Terry McLaurin, obviously, it's funny because this dude gets the most single-handed chance in the entire stadium. I can't remember how many times there was a Terry chant throughout the game, even before he scored the touchdown. Just when he comes out on the field, he has his own entrance. And then he hit that one short single catch on the right side, and people went nuts. Like just a great routine throw, great catch. I think it was like 10 yards, something like that. People went nuts. It just was screaming Terry to the point where Carson Wentz was like, hey, guys, we got to be quiet. First down. But Terry McLaurin, 4 targets, 2 catches, obviously a giant one, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. And the 49-yard touchdown was the 4th longest of his career. So that's what we're going to get out of Carson Wentz. More deep passes. And I actually went to Next Gen Stats to pull up Carson Wentz's passing chart from the game. Obviously, the red is the bad. That is the interceptions from Carson Wentz. But still, the green dots, the short ones, and giving the ball into your playmaker's hands fast. I love that. But then also, you see those blue arcs. We haven't seen blue arcs like that in a while. That deep right one to Terry, the 49-yarder. That's the stuff that gets you excited as a fan. And he can hit anyone like that. Terry can go deep. Jahan Dotson can go deep. Curtis Samuel can go deep. Antonio Gibson can go deep. We saw Antonio Gibson. 14 carries, 58 yards, 7 catches on 8 targets, 72 yards. This was his 10th game with over 100 scrimmage yards. People screaming, oh, bench him. No, he's got a role on this team. It might not be, starting, running north and south running back. He's going to run the ball still, but getting the ball in his hands in space, you saw it. You saw it on that sail route, setting up a touchdown. He's on the left side of Carson Wentz, goes up through the line, cuts right, dime from Carson Wentz. He goes up and gets it, shows the body control, the catch radius of a wide receiver. Another great weapon to have. A lot of these guys have a lot of things in common, but also have their own special traits. And Antonio Gibson is just one of those weapons. He had 130 total yards and in 8 first downs Sunday. Antonio Gibson himself had 8 first downs. 8. And matter of fact, speaking of downs, we went 7 for 10 on third downs, which is the second highest in a week 1 game in franchise history. You know how many times we've been banging our head against the wall on third downs, whether it's giving them up on defense and not getting them on offense? Sunday was the complete opposite for the first time probably ever in my life. It was just beyond refreshing to see us be able to move the ball. And speaking of third downs, one of the biggest third downs of the game, which, my heart sunk to the bottom of my stomach. Logan Thomas, first game back. I didn't think he was going to play week 1. I thought Cole Turner had a better chance of playing week 1 than Logan Thomas did, but came up clutch. 3 catches for 45 yards, but the biggest third down conversion of the game when we were down. The third down that set up the Terry McLaurin touchdown the very next play. Logan Thomas, another weapon. Bates dropped a big one on third down. That one really got to me. But nonetheless, giving Bates some time. But I think once Cole Turner gets back, you're going to see once again another receiving weapon. Now, let's talk about that offensive line. Carson Wentz had a lot of protection, and when he didn't, he got away from it. I'll never forget that one play. Is it like second and long or third and long? Dude was rushing right at him, ducked on it, which is crazy because he's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a giant. Like, how do you not tackle him? Or how does he get away from these tackles? But he always finds a way. Like, his pocket awareness is crazy, but his pocket mobility is off the charts. And we've seen that. Washington fans, when he was in Philly, he was so hard to sack. He was almost impossible. There's that one play where the entire line just collapses around him, and he just pops through the middle for like a 10-yard gain. And we're like, how is that possible? He's 6'4", 6'5". He's a walking giant. Like, he is a walking target. How does he get away from all these sacks and tackles? But offensive line, Charles Leno. Kudos to Charles Leno, man. Chicago is probably wishing they had him. He was a salary cap kind of tragedy cut. Been a blessing for us. He had 52 pass block reps, and he had 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed, and 0 quarterback hits allowed. A flawless game. Sometimes he had Allen on his side, but a majority of the time it was against the number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker. Did not allow him to get to Carson Wentz at all. Sam Cosmi, one of my favorite guys. I call him our future all-pro right tackle. 52 pass blocks. He only allowed 1 pressure, 1 sack, which kind of hated it. But still, you have Josh Allen over there. Super underrated edge guy. You saw what they did against the Bills last year, how he just completely took over that game. Won them the game. It was like 9-6. Josh Allen took that whole game over, put it on his back, had that interception at the end to pretty much steal it for him. So he's a playmaker. Like, Josh Allen's name does not get brought up as much as it should. If he's anywhere else but Jacksonville, I guarantee you'll hear about Josh Allen a lot more. But still, Sam Cosmi, young guy, once again, injured last year, coming back. Looked great. Gave up that 1 sack, but no quarterback hits that weren't sacks. Chase Roulier, 50 pass blocks, 1 pressure, 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. Andrew Norwell, former Jaguar. They probably wish they had him after they saw what our D-line did. 50 pass blocks, 0 pressure, 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. Trey Turner, who came in because Wes Schweitzer got banged up a little bit. I think they said it was his hamstring. Doesn't look like anything too major. They said he got a MRI just for precautionary reasons, just like John Allen. Hopefully he plays next week. But Trey Turner, 35 pass blocks, 2 pressures, no sacks, 1 quarterback hit. But Wes Schweitzer has 14 pass blocks, 1 pressure, no sacks, 1 quarterback hit. So great game from the offensive line. Because I said in the previous show that for me, the difference makers for Jacksonville could be if their defensive line got to Carson Wentz, put pressure on him to throw more interceptions. And, kind of right, kind of wrong. Trayvon Walker had that pick, but they just did not have the pressure at all like we did against Trevor Lawrence. Trevor was running for his life. And if you look at the stats last year, next-gen stats, he was one of the worst quarterbacks against the blitz last year. But that's the thing. Washington really wasn't blitzing like Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb, anything like that. A lot of the league isn't. You have to get pressure with those 4 guys. You can't pull another guy out of the secondary or coverage help to get to the quarterback because he's just going to get rid of it quick and then someone's wide open. I feel like that's some of the plays that really killed us with like Travis Etienne, Zay Jones, some of these short, quick passes that they took, especially like that first drive after after halftime, after we punted it and they scored. But D-line, Phil Mathis, out for the season. Obviously gutted about it. This was my dude. I called us drafting him when I was talking to John Allen at the draft party. Just because I knew we needed that D tackle help. Love what this guy did at Alabama. He was one of my dudes. Obviously, y'all know I'm an Alabama fan, even though I cover Penn State now. But with Phil Mathis, man, he looked so good before he went down. And luckily, it wasn't an ACL. As soon as he went down, I was like, here's another ACL. Like, who knows what he's going to be like after this. But he says he's going to bounce back. Completely agree with him. I can't wait to see when he comes back next season. John Allen, groin injury, might play next week. They sound a lot better about John Allen. He said he felt okay. Like I said, the MRI was just kind of precautionary reasons. Didn't really feel too worried about anything. So I think he plays next week. Worst case, if the groin's kind of lingering a little bit, he might just come back in the Philly game. And I'm going to talk about D tackles. I might do another video midweek because I got a lot of things to say about D tackles. Daniel Wise, got a ton of stuff to break down. I've got so many drafts on Twitter right now. I just didn't want to flood the TL today with all these nuggets and stats. And then Sweat. I think Sweat had his best game outside of, like the Cowboys game where he's like getting interceptions, tipping balls at the line, stuff like that. Sweat, he was all over Trevor Lawrence. 5 pressures, 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, 3 hurries, 1 batted pass. And same with Dron Payne. Showed getting to the quarterback who everyone said, he doesn't get, pressure like Jonathan Allen does. Jonathan Allen was one of the best interior defensive tackles at getting to the quarterback. But Dron Payne, 5 pressures, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, 2 hurries, and 1 batted pass. Clutch batted pass. And actually, that was 3 quarterback hits for both Sweat and Dron Payne, was both career highs. They've never done that before. And like I said, even though we didn't have a ton of sacks, we only had 2. John Allen had a sack. Dron Payne had a sack. I would much rather get to the quarterback all game long consistently and put pressure on Trevor Lawrence and get 2 sacks than get like 4 or 5 sacks and then leave him wide open in the pocket and being able to just dice us up throughout the game. We were at his neck. I remember the second half, I was going nuts every single time we were up in his grill. Hill, also 4 pressures, 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, 2 hurries, no batted passes. And Daniel Wise, my guy, who I'm going to talk about, I might pull up some film, do some all-22 stuff on him because he was one of my players to watch before the season started. I did an article on Riggo's Rag for Fansided. 3 pressures, no sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 2 hurries, and no batted passes. The D-line did what it had to do. Finally, I don't know if it was the coaching change or what, but the D-line got after Trevor Lawrence, had everybody hyped. Doorgunner here says the stadium was fire yesterday. One of the few times we had far more fans in the stands than the other team. Absolutely. I know a couple Jaguar fans that were at the game, and I was talking to her at work today, and she was like, yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like, there wasn't that many Jags fans, but there was actually a ton of Washington fans, like, by our section. So we took over our home section, but then also seemed like we were flooding the Jaguar side. I will never forget. And I hate the local media when they do this, when they send out the picture like, there's no fans here. Or, there's a lot of Giants fans here. There's a lot of Cowboy fans here. They didn't do that this week. And it's because we showed up and showed out. Rain didn't matter. It was rocking. I'm telling you, every time there was a third down, that Derek Forrest batted pass in the back of the end zone, that place exploded. The Terry touchdown, the Jahan Dotson touchdown. That might be my favorite environment that I've been in FedEx Field in a long time. Now, last year, I didn't go to the Bucs game. Definitely should have. That was not one to sit out. Or the Titans game, which I'm glad I didn't. I mean, the Saints game. But that place was jumping. I remember the Giants game last year, the game-winning field goal with the offsides. That place was hype. I didn't leave there. The game ended super late, but I didn't leave till like 2 a.m. I just remember me and Rio going nuts at the stadium for a long time after the game. But absolutely right. They showed Terry love. They changed his name on the big play. Every time he catches a pass, there was a Terry chant. They were telling us to like hush up on first downs because we were super loud. But rightfully so, fan favorite. Unlike the Cowboys, we pay our best wide receivers and not trade them for a 5th-round draft pick. But we're not going to talk about the Cowboys. But linebackers. This is the area I'm going to study. Everyone knows I'm super high on Jamin Davis, not giving up on him yet. And everyone says go sign a big linebacker. Draft another one, which was wild in the first place. But this is what I have to say about it. First game of the season, and I have all the stats of last year, all the schemes, all the formations we ran last year. There's a guy that actually does a ton of defensive stuff on Twitter. I talk to him all the time because I've always been a defensive guy, especially with linebackers. That's just always been one of my favorite positions. But out of 63 defensive snaps, 58 were 2 linebacker sets and 5 were 1 linebacker sets. We did not run 3 linebackers at all. And people are like, well, that's because we don't have a third linebacker. I feel like they signed John Bostic. They have no problem putting him out there. We could have absolutely run 3 linebacker sets. That is just how we play defense. That's how a lot of people play defense in the league now. Washington was just kind of late to the party because we didn't really have 2 linebackers that they had full trust in. But, and I talked to this guy, Tom, on Twitter today. He said it looks like with just the first game, Obviously, it's early, but Washington seems to have a lot more trust in Jamin Davis this year than they did last year because they had, Landon Collins as that linebacker. They had to pull a safety as another DB or play way too much nickel, big dime, and kind of to aid that. Like, Jamin, we know you're good, but you're not ready. We want to be like safe and get another guy there next to you or close enough to, help make big plays. But it seems like he's coming along nicely. People said he had a terrible game. You're not going to have a perfect game. You're going to let short little passes happen. The play that impressed the heck out of me was a running play to the left side. I want to say it was Travis Etienne. He was getting full on blocked by a lineman. And while he was getting blocked, just stuffed the dude by the sideline. Like, while he was getting blocked, he pretty much brushed this guy off with one hand and just laid the hammer on him. For me, that was one of the most underrated plays of Sunday, was seeing how Jamin Davis still made his presence felt. Didn't give up a ton of big plays. Like I said, guys, you can't expect a perfect game. Fred Warner gives up passes. Darius Leonard gives up passes. You're not going to just allow 0 passes as a linebacker against athletic tight ends or fast wide receivers. It's not going to happen. But still, that's something I want to watch all seasons, how these schemes really go. And of course, Cam Curl was out. He's a guy that does rotate and played a lot of this Buffalo nickel role, this linebacker role as a safety, as well as Landon did last year. Cam Curl did it as well. So we'll see how much that changes when Cam Curl comes back. But of course, we got to talk about the secondary. 54 snaps were in the nickel formation. And it was heavy St. Juice. And I remember, I still have the tweet on Twitter. When Bradbury was available, so many people said, go sign Bradbury. Go get another lockdown corner. And I was like, no, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller on the outside, and they're going to put St. Juice in the slot. And so many people roast me like, he is not a slot corner, blah, 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 blah. And guess where he is? He's in the slot. And I talked to Del Rio at training camp. They said he's great in the slot. He's athletic. He's long. He's fast. He can keep up with these guys, but he can also be physical enough to guard these tight ends and wide receivers. We think he's going to thrive in the slot. And he had a great game. I liked what I saw out of him that first full game really in the slot. I think St. Juice is going to hold it down. But obviously the MVP of the defense, which I didn't see coming. For me, it was a worry, but I'm going to give him his roses. Derek Forrest, man. This dude is a stud. Another late round safety that comes out of nowhere, makes the most out of his opportunities. I was like, man, Cam Curl's out. You have to be careful. I put the graphic up. I showed. Guys, Trevor Lawrence thrived in the deep right side of the field, and he targeted it. He targeted Forrest, and Forrest shut it down. 5 tackles, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. And he is the first Washington player to have 2 pass deflections, a forced fumble, and interception since Bashaud Breeland in 2015. He is the 7th player in Washington history to ever do that. So, going forward with Curl coming back, does that mean we start playing more 3 safety sets? I think we're still going to run 2 linebacker sets. I think this will turn from a nickel heavy to where you have St. Juice in the slot to rotating in a guy like Derek Forrest as that big dime to where you have 3 safeties on the field. Somewhere these 3 safety sets. So I think next week that's the biggest test is how much does it change if Cam Curl comes back? Or do you say, hey, Cam, don't rush back. Derek Forrest balled out last week. Obviously had that game-stealing interception. Shut it down. Big time pass breakups. The one in the end zone. Hey, we feel good about him. Take your time coming back. Don't rush that thumb. Or if he's good to play, how do you really rotate him in and get him involved on this defense? Because we saw the hype and heard the hype about training camp. This guy gets interceptions and stuff. I said, all right, well, let's see it translate to the field. Boom. First game it did. Trevor Lawrence, 24-42, 275 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 2 rushes for only 4 yards, which really surprised me. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that wants to move a little bit more, wasn't afraid to run at Clemson. Sometimes it took some hits he couldn't really afford, but still, nonetheless, I think defense was great. If you look at it, 28-22, 2 of their before if Curtis Samuel doesn't fumble before the halftime where they missed their field goal, we could have easily been up 21-3. We were driving. We were at their, 39? Somewhere around there. I mean, we were super close. Like, it could have easily been 21-3. But then, of course, the interception, they get a field goal. Interception, they get a touchdown. They get the lead, 22. to 14. If it's not for those interceptions, our defense, their backs against the wall, they get the ball in our territory. Super easy scores, like boom, bang, easy. If it's not for that, our defense pretty much has a shutout game with a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence, which we've been dying to see. Without Chase Young, how's his defensive line look? Who's going to get to the quarterback? Sweat was in his grill. Jonathan Allen up at his grill. Something else I wanted to show you all that I got from Next Gen Stats. I love Next Gen Stats because they always give me the good stuff. This here is the average length of space that our defensive linemen were to the quarterback at the time of the pass or the sack. But these are only on pass rushing plays, which right here, Smith Williams, 3.87 yards away from Trevor Lawrence. The league average is 4.53. So that's why it's dark red, because he was up in his grill once again all game long. Even though the stats in the game cast, the box score, whatever you look at, don't say, hey, Smith Williams balled out. These are the things that make a difference. How many times did Lawrence get an intentional grounding, throw the ball away, almost forced fumbles, like big time plays? Deron Payne, 3.97 yards from Trevor Lawrence. You know how close 3-4 yards is when someone's running full speed at you at that size? Jonathan Allen, 4.33. Montez Sweat, 4.44. And obviously there's plays where they're up in their grill. All four of those guys were under the league average, and some were by a good chunk. So all the people saying, D-line, do your job. All these first-round draft picks, do your job. They did. Pass with flying colors. Phil Mathis went down, didn't matter. Chase Young wasn't out there. Smith Williams was the fastest guy getting to the quarterback. So I wasn't mad about that performance. JBWC, I agree with you. Going to be the best, one of the best wide receiver corps in the NFL. I said before the season, you have a guy like Carson Wentz who can throw it deep, create opportunities for his wide receivers, lead them, go deep, but then also hit them in these short passes and let Curtis Samuel break ankles and put faces in the dirt. That's what he does. Terry McLaurin getting deep. That's what he does. I'm telling you guys, 3 of the top 15 most improbable completions of the weekend came from Carson Wentz. Number 1 was Josh Allen, I think. 2 was Patrick Mahomes, who dropped a dime to Travis Kelce. But Carson Wentz had 3 of the top 15. He had number 3, number 5, and I'm going to say number 15. The one to Terry, the one to Dotson, and the one to Gibson on that sail route to the right side. So I'm expecting big things from this offense. I think this was just a taste of it. Like I said, guys, wait till Cole Turner shows up. We have another receiving threat in the middle of the field. The guy who can get vertical, that catches everything. I'm sorry, but John Bates is going to be tight end 3, especially after that drop. I mean, I know it was just one drop. Cole Turner had one of the best hands in college football, had the most tight ends out of tight ends in college football last year. And then you have Logan Thomas back. And then you got Brian Robinson running the ball. A steady power run game, too. We didn't have that this game. We had Curtis Samuel running the ball, and we had Antonio Gibson running the ball, which are more elusive backs. Now you got Brian Robinson, who's going to bust a 70-yard up the middle every other week, possibly, running dudes over, wearing down a defense. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm hyped. I'm excited. This was a great win. Like I said, the atmosphere was nuts. The game against Philly is going to be crazy because they travel so well, and it's a rivalry game. I'm looking forward to it. So if you didn't go to this one, and you could have, you should have, because that was one of my favorite games to go to. But be at the next one when we take on Philly. But we've got the Lions coming up. Lions almost came back and beat Philly, by the way. They were up big. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown started eating. So I'm going to watch that game, get some takeaways from it, and do a preview show coming up later on here in the week. Like I said, guys, every Monday night, this is just the first one, but I'm going to go live here on the YouTube channel, give y'all a chance to come in, drop your comments, tell me how you're feeling, what you like, what you didn't like. Like I said, sometimes we're not going to play good. Sometimes we're going to lose some games this year. So this is a great spot to come in, rant about what you don't like. Some people said our secondary sucked this weekend outside of Derek Forrest. Didn't like what William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller were doing. Ron said they played a little too cautious this weekend. Could be opening game, jitters. Playing corners tough in the NFL, especially now. Even Bobby McCain, that over the back breaking up, and they called it pass interference. That was a terrible call. So it's tough out here for DBs. I think they both played cautious as well. I think we'll see a little bit, better going forward. Obviously, too much zone defense for my liking. I want to see more man coverage, but definitely going to be looking for it. But D-line ate it up. That was one of the best D-line performances I've seen from our guys in a while, and that was without Chase Young and without Phil Mathis for most of the game. So guys are going to step up. Like I said, I got a pretty busy week with, Penn State stuff and everything else going on with football. But I'm going to try to go ahead and get some all 22 of the defensive line, drop a video this week about, what we're going to do moving forward. D-tackle. Do I think we're going to sign a veteran guy? No. I think we're going to elevate Daniel Wise. I think Bada is going to be the depth guy. And then we signed Donovan Jeter, a D-tackle from Michigan. But watching his film today, I was literally at work on lunch break looking at Michigan games from last year, seeing his game. So I'm going to go ahead and do a video this week, hopefully. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on anything. I feel good about it. I know it's just one game. I said if we can't beat Jacksonville, then who the heck can we beat? And they felt the same way about us. But luckily, we were on the winning side of everything. But like I said, guys, Detroit coming up next week. It's going to be a good game. We're traveling to Detroit first away game of the season. Going to do a preview probably like Wednesday or Thursday. So check it out on the channel. But I appreciate everybody stopping in and taking a look at it. Got a lot of great things cooking up for this season. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully get a big old dub next week. I'll see y'all on the preview show.